Today we're taking a look at an amazing watch from Arnold & Son. This is a brand that I've spoken about here on my channel a number of times. They are made by La Joux-Perret, so this is getting a La Joux-Perret automatic movement inside. It's their integrated bracelet watch that was recently introduced only a few months ago. It's made out of titanium, it gets nautical inspiration, and what they did is something a little bit different. These are very distinctive looking. They don't look like just another Gerald Genta design, and that's really what I like about these watches. I have one hands-on today to show you guys, so let's flip the camera and take a look at the Longitude from Arnold & Son. I want to start this video by winding the watch. It sounds and feels so good, and it's an automatic movement, which usually isn't typical of an automatic movement. Let's take a quick listen. It just feels so good, and it sounds really good as well. I just wanted you guys to hear that immediately. It's a really nice movement inside a really nice titanium watch. This is the Longitude from Arnold & Son. If you're not familiar with the brand, they were started in 1764 by an English watchmaker, John Arnold. His son also involved. His son's name was John Roger Arnold. They were most famous for their marine chronometer. They were in a lot of ships and they were used by a lot of sailors. Captain Cook actually used one. James Cook used it on his second voyage. That's pretty incredible when you really think about it. You've read about him, and he actually used one of these chronometers, so the marine chronometers made by John Arnold. Abraham Louis Breguet was also very good friends with John Arnold, and they exchanged ideas, and they also exchanged technologies. So a lot of ideas came from Arnold & Son and vice versa. So Arnold & Son used a lot of ideas from Louis Breguet. Pretty incredible when you think about it. They were contemporaries and worked together. No one ever mentions that. Arnold & Son did go out of business. Currently, La Joux-Perret are the ones who make their watches. So this is actually made by La Joux-Perret, and that means you're getting a La Joux-Perret movement inside. They are a manufacturer, so they do make movements for other brands. I actually have a watch on my wrist that I will show you in a few minutes that has a very similar movement to the movement that's in this watch. However, it's completely different. It's styled completely different. I'll show it to you in just a few seconds. Now, this is in titanium. It has an eye-link bracelet, and I wouldn't call it an eye-link. It's a very tapering bracelet. Usually, eye-link bracelets don't taper like this, but it does taper really nicely. You have a titanium case, titanium bezel, case back, crown, and bracelet. This is a butterfly bracelet with micro adjust built in. You're getting 100 meters of water resistance. It's nautical inspired, and it is COSC certified. You're getting 60 hours of power reserve. The movement inside here is the 6302. It is beautiful. I will show you that in just a few seconds. You have a gold rotor, really beautifully finished. It's just a gorgeous watch. This is the Longitude in a fern green, I think is what they call it. You have a vertically brushed dial up at the 12 o'clock position, right below that 12 o'clock index. You have a power reserve. It's a sandwich portion of the dial. Below the dial is gold. Phenomenal. And it kind of disappears in certain light because it is fully polished. Then you have applied indices. Those are filled with lume. And then you have skeletonized, I guess you would call them stylized fence post hands. Those are skeletonized or partially skeletonized and in gold. You have a sub-seconds down at the 6 o'clock that is slightly sunken from the rest of the dial. And then you have a needle for a seconds hand in that sub-seconds. It just says Swiss made down at the 6 o'clock position or right below the 6 o'clock position, and that is it. A very clean dial. It says Arnold & Son over at the 3 o'clock. There's no logos here. It's inspired by their original marine chronometers. Very clean look. You have a beautiful bezel on here. Very different from what you normally see. The top of the bezel is brushed and sloped, and then you have an area that is separated from that top portion of the bezel. It's a ring that has knurling on it. I would say it's almost like a coin edge, but it's a little bit wider than a coin edge bezel, so it looks great. and it feels great. When you touch it, it just feels really nice. This watch feels like it's really well made. You have a boxed sapphire crystal, screwed in crown, screwed in case back. Of course, you can see the movement through the back sapphire crystal. You have crown guards. There's polishing on the sides of the watch. And again, this is a titanium watch. You have a chamfered edge that goes across the entire watch, the bracelet and the case. It's a beautifully finished watch. And there's the iLink bracelet. Each one of the center links is polished on either side of the link, which adds a little bit of dressiness to this. There is some micro adjust that's actually hiding in plain sight, and it's pretty awesome. There's a button right here in the bracelet, and when you press that, you could either push in or pull out the micro adjust. That is it, and you could do it when it's closed. That's probably the best part about this micro adjust. So when the bracelet is closed, you have to close one side and then the other, snap it in, and then all you need to do is press this button. When it's on your wrist, it's a lot easier to do. When it's off your wrist, it's a little harder. You just pull in and that's it. It works really, really well. It is very easy. Measurements on this watch, it comes in at around 41 millimeters at the bezel, 42 millimeters at the case. So you do have these crown guards. So it does wear a little bit bigger. I would say it wears like a 42.5 millimeter watch. It's 12 millimeters thick, so 12.1 millimeters according to my calipers. And then you have a 46.8 millimeter lug to lug. That is at the case. At the bracelet, it comes in at around 53 and change. On my wrist today, I have a Maran Musi. This is a very obscure independent brand that is Swiss crafted. So essentially all that means is that they create all of their components within Switzerland. So none of this is outsourced to Asia or anywhere else in the world. It all comes from Switzerland. So that's their thing. And also this gets 300 meters of water resistance without gaskets. And that is done by precise machining of the case. I'm going to do a whole video about this watch. It also gets a Le Joux Perret movement inside, which is very similar to the movement that is inside the watch that we are looking at today, except completely different at the same time. It looks completely different. It's finished completely different. I believe it's all done by machine on this watch, and it looks wild compared to the more traditional version in the Longitude. And I will do a close-up or video of the movement inside this watch so you can see what I'm talking about. And there's the Longitude on my 7.5 inch wrist. I think this is a gorgeous watch. I love it. There's only maybe 2 complaints I would say about this watch in general. The dial, that power reserve is a little bit hard to read because in direct light, it kind of washes out for some reason. But that's not really that big of a problem because it's a power reserve. It's not part of the time telling, so you don't need to see it at all times. And then the bracelet. So I love the bracelet. I think it's amazing. You press this button, it does extend out. And the problem with that is that you are not able to close that side second. So you have to close this side first and then this side. Otherwise, you're going to basically try and close it on top of that lip. And then you do have this gap here, which, all brands who make class with integrated on the fly micro adjust have some sort of gap. So I think this is actually a pretty good gap in my opinion, but there you go. Other than that, I think it looks really good on my 7.5 inch wrist. It's on the larger side. So if you have a small wrist, this is probably not going to work for you. This is a 42 millimeter watch that wears almost like a 43 millimeter watch because of those crown guards and the long lug to lug. I do have the strap here, but the strap also has male end links. Let me show it to you on the strap. And there it is on the rubberized fabric strap is what I would say this is. It has a titanium buckle, which of course is very bespoke to this watch. It looks fantastic, feels really nice as well. Like I was saying though, you do have these end links that are integrated into the strap, not into the case. And that means that these wear like male end links. So this does wear exactly like the bracelet does. And unfortunately, again, if you have a smaller wrist, that's going to be a problem because I have a 7.5 inch wrist and you can see it does not look small on my wrist. It looks like a 43 millimeter watch, even though the dimensions measure in at 42 millimeters because of that extra girth from that strap, and then of course those crown guards. And there you go, lume actually decently applied to the hands and the indices. Looks like it's pretty liberally and deeply applied to those applied indices. Looks really good in the dark. I wish there was a little bit of lume on that second hand so that I could see it working, but other than that, I have really no complaints about the lume. It's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful watch. It comes in at $22,900. It is not cheap by any means, but it's something different. It's not the everyday Nautilus that you see, or even a Vacheron. This is something completely different, something that you will never see on anyone else's wrist because they don't really make all that many watches. It is definitely expensive, but it's also really, really cool, really beautiful watch. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the dial? What do you think of the movement? What do you think about how it sounds when you wind it? I love that sound from an automatic watch. I love hearing it from a hand wound watch, but it's great to hear it from an automatic watch because you get best of both worlds with the automatic and then of course the hand winding that sounds and feels great. It's really fun. Anyway, tell me what you think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for checking out this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.